Welcome to the day at Indy for May 19th, Sunday. We're done with qualifying, finally. Mental exhaustion, I think that has just been a universal joy for everybody that was here on Saturday and Sunday. Both those who made it in the show and were displeased with where they start come the 26th of May. Those who didn't make it in yesterday on Saturday sweated overnight. Some who made it in, some who got bumped. Juncos Racing, Kyle Kaiser, our very first guest, he is sending Fernando Alonso home and the McLaren Racing Team home with a little unsponsored car that has no business of sending them home. But that's the beauty of Indianapolis. Whatever things we think are going to happen, whatever things are surefire parts of the script, no. And so on that topic, it is 10:07 p.m. Sunday night. It would take me 2 or 3 hours to do my best to run down all the things that happened, all the thoughts and observations, and that sure as heck is not happening tonight. I also would have lost a $100 bet to Robin Miller had I accepted it when I told him earlier today, no matter what happened, I was going to be out of here by 8:30, make sure that I was in my hotel room by 9 to watch the Game of Thrones series finale. He whipped out a $100 bill because he's a degenerate gambler and has money like that on him at all times, and said, I will bet you $100 you will not be out of here by 8:30. And, well, again, I'm very thankful I didn't take him up because I'd be $100 short right now. Long story short, though, there's no way I'm going to be able to break all this stuff down tonight. So we're going to do that tomorrow. And so what I would recommend is, if you have questions, I know that's normally the format for the Week in Indy, and we will probably hold some of those for the Week of Indy. Week at Indy. Week in Indy? Week in IndyCar. I don't even know. You can tell. I sound drunk, but I'm not. Send me those questions on the good old Twitter or Facebook. Use the hashtag #DayAtIndy, and I'll do my best to answer however many I can tomorrow when I'm back on Monday. Following Kyle Kaiser from the mighty Juncos Racing Team, we have another giant slater. Slater? Again, I'm not editing this. I'm just going to keep it in. Giant slayer. That being Ben Hanley and Elton Julian from the DragonSpeed team. Amazing stories from them as well. So by coincidence, we have the two smallest teams punching the highest above their weights and doing rather amazing things to get into this field. So got those two clips here for you that I hope you enjoy. And I definitely want to say thank you once more to Cooper Tires, to the Justice Brothers, and to TorontoMotorsports.com for making this all possible. So off we go with our man Kyle Kaiser, a very happy Kyle Kaiser, and then we will roll from him directly into the DragonSpeed duo, and then you'll hear some outro music, and it fades away, and that means send me your questions, and we will look forward to speaking to you tomorrow, May 20th, on the day at Indy. Kyle Kaiser, I wish you were able to hear the reaction of all the fans of you not just making the show, but folks realizing what you did and who is going home as a result of this. Isn't David beating Goliath. This is David getting his hands on weapons of mass destruction. This is nuclear, David. Tell us about this, man.
Yeah, this has been probably the most emotional 48 hours of my entire life. If you would have talked to me a couple days ago, making the show was one thing, but just getting this team together and being able to put that car together was the first uphill battle. And those guys worked so hard. I couldn't ask anything more of them because they gave every last bit of what they had, and all I wanted to do was go out and give my best, and I'm just very, very fortunate that our best was good enough to get us in today.
So this call that Ricardo made, which I wrote a story about and said this is the ballsiest gamble you could, so you and 5 other drivers are already at the deep end. I mean, you can sink. It's so easy for anyone to sink, not make it onto the final row. Ricardo says, hey, recovering from the crash, everyone is exhausted. We are starting to make mistakes. We need to stop. Everyone go home. That's going to mean we do not make the one and only practice session Sunday morning ahead of the last chance qualifying. It's the right decision, also could be that crucial forfeiting of time that makes you lose to the 5 others who get track time. Share some thoughts with us about that call, and if there are any concerns about, man, now I'm playing behind even more potentially.
Yeah, that really good point bringing that up, because that was a big decision that played into that. And I think the big thing that played into that decision was mostly what we experienced yesterday with the engine getting hot, and that being our biggest loss of performance in the day. And I think that yesterday, even knowing, yes, the guys needed a lot of sleep. We had a big team meeting, had all the guys in the garage, and half of them could barely keep their heads up and keep their eyes open. And when you're seeing that from your crew that's been given everything they have, knowing that tomorrow's the biggest day, you got to send them home. And they wanted to stay. They would have stayed, and they would have kept working. And they had to move the pit stand over. They still had more work to do. So get that done, send them home, get some sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. And after talking with all the engineers, they were confident that we're not going to run the practice session. We're not even going to try to run the practice session. That was never part of the plan. And we knew the weather was coming in, but we were expecting to go out either way.
In your young career, right, we're talking 2017 Indy Lights champion, American kid, Californian kid, loving open wheel racing, Indy 500 meaning the world to you. When you went out for your qualifying run here, you didn't do it to knock out driver A, B, or C. You weren't doing it in a negative thing towards anyone. You were doing it in a positive direction for you. Give us some thoughts about being in the car, what you were feeling, knowing that if it went right, potentially there's some big names that aren't going to stay. That's a great thing to bring up, because I was not thinking about the other 3 drivers. That's very important. I wasn't going out there trying to bump anybody. It happened that we were the last ones to go out, so I knew exactly what I had to do and who was on the line, but that wasn't on my mind at all. I was aware of it, but my number one focus was just go out there and drive the 4 most perfect laps you could possibly drive, be on top of your tools, be in the moment. You know, I've had a lot of work with mental coaches about just focusing on the task at hand and performing when it counts. And I'm just very happy that I brought my best performance. But now that the dust is settled, you know, there's going to be a lot to report to. It seems like. So I really wasn't thinking about it in the moment, but after the fact, it's been very surreal to think about. The only thing that I'm disappointed about, Kyle, is we have practice scheduled for tomorrow, because otherwise you should be running out the door. Granted, it's a Sunday, but you should be buying every ounce of alcohol in the state and just losing your day. You should roll back up carb day smelling like liquor off of what you just pulled off.
Honestly, that's what I've been joking about. But all in all, I mean, this has been such a great effort, and we will celebrate a little bit tonight, not with alcohol, but just getting everybody together and just having a little party. It's my girlfriend's birthday too, so we'll have a little birthday dinner for her, and we'll celebrate that way. But yeah, back to work tomorrow. And I'm happy to say we're back to work tomorrow.
You are officially the best boyfriend in the world for delivering this as a gift, provided she likes racing. Let's close on this. And I'm not trying to overstate things. It's just Indy 500's been a big part of my life since I was 6-7 years old. This is something folks are going to be talking about for decades to come, about the day this little sponsorless car from this team that frankly had no business, if we're just talking history, resources. I've looked at your background. I don't know if I recall seeing 2-time Formula One world champion, but regardless, this is something folks are going to be talking about for decades. We're talking about 19 thousandths of a mile an hour difference between your average and Fernando's. I don't even know if I have a question. I'm just saying words.
Yeah, no, that's my first time hearing the actual gap. I heard it was really tight, but that's pretty ridiculous. I think that just epitomizes what Indy's all about. I had no idea whether I made it when I crossed start finish. Obviously that's really, really close, but I had no idea. I knew it was going to be close. I was happy after the first lap to see, okay, we have a shot. You know, we're in the right mile per hour, and that gave me some hope, and I just executed as best I could. But when I came on the radio, I didn't know what to feel. I said, did we make it? That's all I needed to know. And I just heard Tom Brown yelling, we got it,
in a strange Scottish accent.
Crazy
you probably
Scottish
couldn't understand.
accent. I didn't understand it, but I knew it was good. And I just started bawling. I just cried, and my eyes hurt from crying so much from that lap. I could barely drive the car in. I was just shaking. I can't believe it. I still can't believe it. I'm reliving that moment now, and it's making me shake. This place means the world to me. It's been something I've been watching since I was a little kid, and I never ever believed that we would be in a situation like this to be able to take somebody out as big as McLaren, but it's bigger than that. This is Indy, man.
Well, we're sitting in front of the little team that could. The spirit of Evel Knievel. Didn't have to jump over Snake River Canyon, but it kind of felt like it. Elton Julian and
Yes,
Ben
it did.
Hanley. I don't even know where to start. This has been a week of I don't know where to start because it's just seemingly every story is batshit insane. We have you guys who should be in a field of 36 qualifying 37th.
Yeah.
Everything's brand new. Your 4 main crew members, crew chief, couldn't get into the country, visa issues. I'm not saying you're trolling the streets at night looking for mechanics, but I mean,
One far from it.
Okay, this whole thing though is just
So does
set
he
up.
have a pulse?
The whole
Okay,
thing.
Send him.
This whole thing shouldn't have worked, and you're sitting here qualified for your first Indy 500. Ben, you're just like, I got a job to do. I'm going to do it. Did it. Sitting here, seeing if Fernando Alonso wants some espresso this morning or something. He's got to get in the show. James Hinchcliffe's got to get in the show, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Where do we start, man? I love this story. It's the best.
I have a question for you. It's the first time I've lived qualifying this way. How does this qualifying in general compare to years past? Because I've heard a lot of really positive feedback about the type of day the series had yesterday.
I'm struggling to recall one that was just so insane, like it was. And this, will they make it, won't they make it? Oh, these are some people who are struggling. I think IndyCar deserves some credit for tweaking their qualifying format
Yeah, seems like
to
it.
give the potential for the drama that played out.
Yeah, it's almost like another bump day.
Absolutely not. So let's talk about your day yesterday, guys. What was the mindset rolling out in the morning? Practice? What are you thinking?
I mean, I think we've been pretty steady the whole time. I mean, we talked earlier in the week and pretty progressive the whole way. We've generally gone forward, which has been really nice. Like Ben mentioned a little bit ago in the press conference, we had some issues. I think like a lot of people did on Friday.
Yeah, it was really windy on Friday, so when we started to trim out, we started the morning a bit high on downforce, and then started to trim, and that coincided with the wind being crazy. So it was definitely not a nice condition to try and set up the car for qualifying. So yeah, we struggled a bit during the day on Friday.
From your experience, Ben, higher downforce prototypes, junior open wheel cars and such, you're accustomed to running light on downforce. You've been through the whole gamut of setup options and having to deal with it behind the wheel. Compare for us at least your past experience and being here 230 miles an hour in a straight line, wind chucking the car around at times, balance shifts based minute by minute, cloud cover, humidity. What's it been like for you inside the car to wrap your head around and then adapt to this kind of insane dynamic?
Difficult is an understatement. With the small team, we're here on our own, so we've just, like Ellen said, we've just been taking it steady and building up our pace little by little, and it's easy to get frustrated here. Like we just said, the wind blows a little bit, and it can be, you can stand outside and it's 2.5 mile an hour wind and you think it's nothing, but then that's 5 mile an hour difference at the end of each straight, and that's a big difference. So that tiny bit makes big differences, and I think that's what the engineer that came in, John Dick, he's helped us stay calm a little bit in those scenarios, and that had a huge importance in our steady
He's steadied the
progression.
ship for us. I mean, he's joined our existing core group, and if you look at our stand,
5 days ago, 6 days ago?
about 6 days ago, yeah. If you look at the stand, it's Paul Thomas, myself, and John together debating as an open group, and John's been fantastic in listening to us as well, and listening to what we know, and numbers don't lie, and it's a car going around the corner still. But then John's been able to add, yeah, but here, this works better if you do that, and we're like, all right.
We've got to take his advice because all our experience is zero. So,
Yes, sir. Okay.
okay, we'll do that then.
But I mean, at the same time, there's been times when he said, yeah, no, you're right. So it's been a combination. It's been a combination of all of us. And I'm sorry I said 3 of us. I should say 4 of us because Ben is every bit a part of that. You'll see me jumping over the wall quite a bit because I relate a lot to the driver and try to translate a lot of what he's going through to the engineering side. So that's really how I live in that scene. But I still have a pretty strong opinion and a deep enough knowledge to look at a wiggly line and say, no, that's happening because of that. And then John Dick can say, yes, but here. And then Paul will come in, who's very mathematical, and give him the numbers. So that's been, I think, made us quite strong.
We'll just dance around here to a variety of places, which is kind of like our normal conversations. You mentioning the jumping off the timing stand or sit and talk with Ben about the car handling, setup stuff. You'd reminded Robin and I just a little while ago, you were bags packed in the air to make your Formula One debut in 1993, right?
No, I think 94? It was 94. I tested 94. Let's say 95 San Marino Grand Prix.
Share that story with us. And
do I have to?
Please. But the thing is we have. I don't have
a good day.
I don't have a Formula One
it's
story.
It's not a good ending.
Tell.
I don't race.
I know.
In the end, it's like the Titanic.
But it does.
The boat sinks.
It does help for folks to understand, though, that you're not just guy holding stopwatch, but
no,
right?
I mean, I spent my first half of my life trying to be a racing driver, and had a bit of success. Had a bit of talent. And struggled with no money like most guys do, and went further than most with less. Wasn't enough to get me all the way there, but I ended up having a bit of a sports car career through it. So it was good, made a bit of living, but it just, I feel comfortable between the driver and the engineer. And I've never stopped learning on the engineering side. And the more qualified and the better quality people I've been able to hire, the more I've learned. So no, I can't run the car by myself. Maybe I could. I've fancied it every now and then. But I like my place in between the two. And with Ben, it's super easy because I feel like I understand him. He's a chill dude, which is nice for me. And so that just works well.
Walking up and down pit lane, as someone who used to do this on the crew and team side, I'm always just watching and observing. How many people on the team? How heavily loaded is this timing stand versus this one?
Right.
Where are the provisions? Since this isn't NASCAR where they have limits of how many crew, you just look and see how teams are constructed. Not trying to pick on our friends at McLaren, but they have 50% of your, just by number, the amount of people on your team, they have on their timing stand.
Wow.
And that's phenomenal. Every team, you wish you had enough money to be flush to just, right?
I think I'd have a bigger timing stand, but not more people.
Well, you'd have someone
but not more people.
Half of it for you would
off the side of the one we've got.
Half of it would be a bar for you with someone pouring your drinks. But anyways,
is that allowed?
I can't see why not.
I'm new here.
I just mentioned this because among the other things I appreciate about what you've achieved is by the numbers, you are not flush with an excess of crew members. You do not have 37 engineers on the timing stand. This is, I'm not saying stripped down.
Spares.
Obviously, this is a high quality operation. I'm just saying this is kind of the acoustic version. This isn't the full big
this
band.
Is the little,
this is the stripped down show. And yet, compared to some, again, who are here Sunday hoping to fight and get into the show, I'm sure you have an appreciation and pride for that as well, that you've been able to do something with less in terms of numbers, but not quality.
The short answer is it's still about the people. It's about, that's where my leadership role comes in, is allowing people to have their space. You know, I do come from LA, and I have a little bit of an industry background in Hollywood and stuff like that for family and friends and where I grew up. It's like producing a TV show or producing a movie. I'm the producer. You know, I get a director who's the engineer, I get a lead actor who's the driver.
Now, we're talking Hollywood or Simi Valley, because they make two different kinds of movies in LA, and one of them...
We started in Simi Valley, but now we're in Hollywood.
Close-on movies. Okay, I like the sound of that.
Marshall.
But that's brilliant, though, because seriously, and again, I'm not blowing smoke here. I've just enjoyed standing around your pits and watching you guys do things. It's that, like you described, Ben. It's just chill. There's no yelling. There's no aggro.
I don't allow it. If anybody's yelling, it's me. I try not to.
And yelling doesn't get you anywhere.
No.
You're only going to annoy people. Whoever you're yelling at, you're just going to annoy them. So
The rule is you should never have to run. Should never have to run. Should never have to raise your voice. The boys get aggro with one another. All stuff happens.
It's like brothers and sisters.
But you'll see me leap over the wall instantly and squash it. I don't allow it. I'm parenting.
Let's talk about this aspect, guys. You guys here are the brand new team. Hey, come and meet the new kids on the block. For those who don't know DragonSpeed, don't know you, Ben, you guys are probably worn the F out because I can't count how many thousands of miles, dozens upon dozens of hours of racing you've done this year. 24 hours of this, 12 hours of that, 6 hours of this. Where were you last weekend? Halfway around the world in a sports car event. Now, again, we know that there are some changes crew-wise based on America's awesome visa policies, but tell us about how that might play into what you've been able to do here, despite being new to this event. This is a fairly well-drilled operation coming in just from sports cars.
yeah, like we keep saying, it you got to trust the people you're working with. So we have that, and that's why we've kept the same group of people, because we all believe in each other, we all trust each other. So I trust the engineer to make the changes that I want, and the engineer trusts me to give the feedback of what the car's doing is accurate, and that speeds up the process of chipping away at the lap time and of finding a little bit more speed.
We're race ready, meaning we've done a lot of racing this year.
Yeah.
You know, we showed up to the first European Le Mans race and just blitzed it, destroyed everybody. We missed the prologue testing. We didn't do any winter testing with the P2 car. But what we'd done is we'd already done Sebring and Daytona. So if you watch, when I get to see the flow of the boys in the box and how everything is working, it's at a very high level. And what was cool, even though we had to add some new guys here, they just melted into our system. And every day they're getting better and better and better, and people's roles are being, they're starting to understand their roles. And you get to the point where you don't need a language. It's just body language is enough, and that's what we're accustomed to. So slowly we're getting back to that.
Let's talk about, Elton, where this team has, I believe, taken itself just in the general awareness of the fans who are here, right? Ricardo Juncos, this is his third time here. Seeing him, this guy from Argentina, came here with nothing in his pockets, living the American dream. I think he's been embraced very much, has a shop here in Speedway.
Boy, does he have a shop.
Right? He's been embraced, showing this commitment and dedication to IndyCar and the 500. And folks didn't know you guys until a couple days ago. I'm guessing just overnight. What kind of reaction have you got? Either social media, team owners, drivers, fans? Are they starting to feel that you guys are not only doing something special, but now part of the community?
I hope so. I mean, from a team side, and Ben can answer after from the driver's side. Obviously, the driver's the star when it comes to the media, and the fans. It should be. That's the whole point.
Ben only does this for the fame and glamour, by the way.
Exactly.
You can tell.
Definitely not for the money. But
his selfie game is on point. I'm just saying, it's nonstop.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He'll just put down his phone.
But that's where he and I got kind of similar as well. But it's it's really important for me. The thing that I'm focused on is like I said earlier, was to got my foot in the door. I want to keep it there, and that was part of the reason we're kind of toning down some of the WEC stuff, or at least no full-time stuff in the WEC, so I can focus more on here in addition to our ELMS stuff. So that's what's important, and for Ben,
Just being here is special. So the Indy 500, if you'd have asked me 5 years ago if we're going to go and do the Indy 500 or have a chance to do it, you'd say no. Being realistic.
yeah.
And then I think maybe a question was asked, would you do it? Yeah, of course I'd do it. It's an amazing event. And then it got asked again, and then again.
He's talking about me.
and then next thing you know, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to try and do it. And even then you're thinking, yeah, maybe not.
He's not going to pull it off.
And then we're here, and it's unbelievable. So yeah, it's unbelievable that we're here, let alone qualifying straight into the race. It's a huge achievement, and I think people realise that it's a huge achievement because they know how tough the championship is. There's a big respect between the teams in the championship and the drivers in this championship of how tight it is and how difficult it is.
It's unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, it's incredible.
You've seen a lot.
Every single crew has been, well, not all of them, but all the guys that are comfortably at the front have been through to say high fives, unbelievable compliments to the crew, to everybody, from the tire guy to engineering. It doesn't matter. I don't. For me, sometimes I don't realize it. It's so focused on the target and the results, you just keep moving, and then others remind you of how important it is.
Do your wife and kids, does the father, the Julian family in general, have they been able to onboard the meaning of this for you, having achieved what you did yesterday? It's still too soon.
I don't know. I mean, my girls have grown up in racing. So, when are you coming home, Dad? Or did you win? Because they don't like it when Dad comes home second because I'm miserable. Second's probably the worst.
Yeah.
Because you're so close to winning. But I think it's the name Indy 500. I mean, when I met my missus, she didn't know anything about racing, which is what I liked about her. Apart from everything else I liked about her, but that was also cool. But even that, she's got family members calling her that didn't care that we went to Le Mans or where this or that. But this place, the name of this race is universally known by all.
So if we're looking to next couple of days, getting ready for the race itself, where's your mind at in terms of priorities? What do we need to do? What is the thing you're pushing the team to do to have as solid a debut Indy 500 as possible? Where do you set the expectations?
No, the expectation is to execute clean and to finish the race. At some point, if we are able to stay on the lead lap for as long as possible, that would be good. Play our strategy right, but that's all part of the execution. So yeah, from the team, we don't do anything different than we always do. And then that's when it becomes just another race. Because if you do more, you make mistakes. And from Ben's side, I don't know, his preparation is going to be what?
Just trying to get the car more balanced in traffic and comfortable in traffic, because obviously
we haven't done much of that.
We've not done much of that because we were learning the place and learning what the car wanted, what the car needed.
It would have been
trying
daft
to qualify. So
to spend your time on race setups.
It would have been unrealistic and ignorant to think we're that confident to be able to just go out there in quali and do the job, because like we keep saying, it's super competitive. So we were just focusing on the first thing, which was getting into the race. So now we can switch our focus to being in the race, and for myself, and setting up the car to be good in traffic and to give me a good confident baseline.
I'd have paid anything for this extra day. This extra day to just reset. Everybody showed up here that's been here, and they know how to set up, where to set up. Our fuel rig, our timing stand stuff I just bought off a defunct team last week.
Apologies for the explosion of volume here, courtesy of the IMS Media Center, from no particular reason, gents. So since we spoke last on the show, Elton, you announced you're making a deeper commitment to IndyCar, which you've touched on a little bit about reducing WEC. I mean, I have to imagine Jay Fry, Mark Miles, all the leadership were just really stoked to read that press release.
I hope so, but that's not why we did it. We're springboarding off of what they've created, and that's important. So if a lot of people say, yeah, we want a lot of new teams, we want to have new blood and stuff, but there's only so many spots. So I'm happy to have gotten in when I did. And that's the point. That's why I want to put the energy in to stay.